Thank you very much. Make sure you can hear me. Right. I was 18 and I was looking for adventure. I hadn't really done much in my life, and so I decided to sign up for Camp America, to go out to America and work on the summer camps with the children out there. And it became my summer of firsts. I found myself at an airport for the first time. I got on the aeroplane for the first time, and I found I was so excited as the plane rocketed down the runway, and I was pressed up against the tiny little window watching as the houses disappeared beneath me. I did feel sorry, however, for the two chaps next to me, because I was an aisle seat and the window seat was 2 seats to my right, and they seemed okay with it though, so it's fine. Also, the first time I'd encountered air stewardesses. Now, in all my time, Virgin have the best. As an 18-year-old boy, man, I spent the whole time trying to chat them up because they were sat right opposite me because I was on the emergency exit seat. Then we landed in Newark, New Jersey, and another first. As I walked out the airport, I was hit by a wave of heat. It was 8 o'clock at night and 35 degrees Celsius. A heat wave, a proper heat wave, not an English heat wave where it's 21 degrees and oh my goodness, we're melting. No, this was proper. It had touched mid-40s during the day. That night, another first, a hotel room with air conditioning. It was lovely, but so noisy I just couldn't sleep. And then the next morning we got onto a minibus and we were taken north, up past Albany, 2.5 hours past Albany, up to the Adirondack Mountains, a glorious mountain range that just went on for miles, covered in pine forests. And we came to Lake Placid. Now, you may know Lake Placid as the Winter Olympic venue from the 30s and the early 80s. I only knew it as a place where a giant crocodile lived because there was a B-movie of the very same name made in the early 90s. And I saw as well for the first time ski jumps. Now, these just loomed up out of the valley, massive things. It looked like an evil baddie's lair from James Bond. And I was so excited. And then 20, 30 minutes north of there, we came to Camp Regis Applejack, where I was to spend my summer. It was on a 1/4 mile of shoreline of Lake Regis. It had its own beach, and it was log cabins, pine trees, beautiful. After a few weeks there and getting settled in, I found myself one afternoon going for a little walk around the site. All the children were up on the sports field doing something or other, and I had a bit of free time. And I was kicking the dust, and I was watching it play in the columns of sunlight coming through the pine. And as I rounded the corner of the camp director's cabin, there sat on his veranda was Earl. Now, Earl was his 4-year-old son, and he was doing something very strange. He was eating a pack of M&Ms. Now, that's not the strange thing. The fact that he was sharing these M&Ms was very strange. But what was even stranger than a 4-year-old sharing chocolate was that there, just off the veranda, as close to me as that window is today, was a fully grown black bear. And Earl was going, one for you, or one for me. One for you, one for me. And I panicked. I didn't quite know what to do other than to warn Earl. I thought as soon as the M&Ms go, Earl's going to be the main course of this bear's dinner. So I said to Earl, Earl, I think the bear's had enough M&Ms. Do you want to go inside? And to my delight, Earl said, OK. And he got up and walked through the screen door, and then the bear picked up the last M&M, looked up, and its main course had gone. And it turned and it saw me, and I know it's a load of rubbish and it would never happen, but I could have sworn that bear licked its lips. Well, I was 3 times the size of his previous main course, and then I panicked, thinking, what do you do when you're confronted with a bear? My mind flashed back to Sunday nights when I used to sit with my dad watching David Attenborough natural history programs. And I seem to remember there The black bear and the brown bear. For one of them, you made yourself big and scary. For the other, you played dead. And could I, for the life of me, remember which one was which? No. I just went with the big and scary, because next to me was a big stick. So I picked it up, I made myself big and scary, and the black bear just looked at me like, what the hell are you doing? And it must have been put off, because it just turned and disappeared off into the bushes. And I kept that stick, and I put it in the post and I sent it home, and I still got it today. But I used that stick another time. You see, a week later or so, there was a rumour going round. It was dusk, just before the sun set in the sky. And the rumour was there was a bear on site. Get the kids in the cabins, keep them safe. Now, I got all my kids in, left them with my co-counsellor, and went out with my bear scaring stick. I thought, here we go, I can do this. And I found myself with a bear once more as close to me as that window. The camp director to my left, the lake behind the bear, and me and the camp director herded this bear off site. And I can never forget this scene as it bounded across the beach next to the lake as the sun set fire to the sky and was reflected in the lake, and it was beautiful. And the third time the bear showed up, a week later, I'd narrowly missed it. By the time I got to where the bear had been spotted, the camp director was there with a BB rifle and had shot it twice in the backside. It's only a BB gun, it hurt it didn't come back though. Then the summer kind of wound down, and the kids went home, and the excitement stopped, and plans had been made with my co-counsellor, a lovely chap from Birmingham, an Aston Villa supporter, but I forgave him. And we were going to go to Detroit and going to go up to Buffalo, New York to see Niagara Falls. And we were going to go to Montreal and Toronto and then finish at New York and fly home. But he ended up getting a better offer and going off and chasing tail after a girl. So I found myself flying home from New York a week earlier than expected without my big final adventure. 6 days after flying home, I found myself sat at home with my dad, watching the TV, flicking through channel after channel, all showing the same thing. And my heart stopped. There was a sight, a place I knew so well, a place I'd just spent 2 weeks in before I flew home. I watched as the Twin Towers crumbled. And I turned to my dad and said, do you know what? If it wasn't for Barney chasing after that girl, I would still be there. And I thank my lucky stars for surviving not only the bear, but 9/11. Thank you very much.